In this video, I'm going to show you how to open up Subaru taillights. Specifically, the 2014 and up Subaru WRX taillights. First, let's go over the parts. So, this right here is an ultrasonic cutter. This is mostly what you're going to be using to actually open up the lights. This will not focus. This is what you'll use to open the lights, mostly. As you can see inside there, it's got gray permaseal. That stuff is nearly impossible to remove. I do say nearly, you can remove it, but it is going to damage the housing most likely, and it's going to take a really, really long time. So it's much quicker to cut it, and it comes out cleaner in the end. You can see the edges right here. They're not damaged at all because we didn't touch them. Next up is various size screwdrivers. I love little pocket screwdrivers. They're thin enough to actually get into a small cut like that. These have magnets which help pick up the screws on the back. Big flathead screwdriver to get some more torque and really crack it open. If they're giving you issues, then you can get like a panel popper tool, and that will really force it open. Phillips head screwdriver, because there are Phillips head screws that you need to remove in order to get the inner housing out. You will need a plastic welder of some kind. This is kind of a hot knife, but I don't know exactly where we got it from. We've had it forever, and it just keeps on trucking. Lastly is you're gonna need some sort of adhesive. I like shoe goo. You can also use goop, which is a metal adhesive, and silicone. I prefer black, but they were out, so right now we're using clear. And of course, you're gonna need the tail lights that you're going to cut open. These are a set of aftermarket Subaru WRX lights. Honestly, I have no idea if this will work for the OEM lights, so keep that in mind. Okay, if you do not have an ultrasonic cutter and you don't want to buy one because they're like $300, $400, what you can use is a Dremel. So this Dremel, I think, is like $99 or $100. I do have the extension on it because this part gets really, really hot. The bit that I definitely recommend is the diamond bit. It's going to be the thinnest one that they offer. This method is just very, very messy, so we do not use it that often. But I thought I'd let you know about a cheaper option. Now we can move on to the cut line. I can let you know exactly where the cut is and how we cut it. One thing I like to do is put cling wrap on the lens. You can see on this one that we have the cling wrap on there already. That's just to protect the lens so that we can lay it face down. Cling wrap is on, and we have the lens face down. One thing I want to go over first is screw location for the inner housing. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you do not remove those, it might be kind of hard to get the back housing off after you cut it. The inner housing will actually hang up on this lens after the cut, just a little bit. So it's easier if you just go ahead and remove the screws before you even cut anything. Now let's go over the cut line. As you can see, we're not actually cutting in between the lens and the back housing. That is something that we do on several other lights, including the 350Zs. But this actually has a good spot for us to cut, and the inner housing is separate. So that means that we can cut right in this corner of the light, all the way around the whole thing. Unfortunately, I did not get a picture or a video of the light before I cut it, but if you're looking at yours, you can see that there's like a small molded lip in the plastic, and we literally just followed that. The molded lip that's on the back of the housing is actually the lip where this inner housing sits, which means if you cut it, then the inner housing will pop out. And I'm gonna show you the footage of Devin cutting the light open. Now that the light is open, you can modify it any way you want. We obviously went with some color shifting and some paint work, just everywhere. Okay, let's move on to putting them together. So this is where you're gonna need your hot knife. Harbor Freight does sell some form of a hot knife. It's trash. Like after 2 or 3 weeks of us using it, the tip literally just melted off. I don't know what the point of that story was. I'm gonna keep it in though. Now is when you're gonna use your hot knife. So we're gonna take our hot knife, and we are literally going to melt it across this whole thing. I'm gonna cut in some footage of us melting together the Genesis coupe lights. Now that you have welded all the way around the light, one thing I like to do, not everyone is gonna do it, but I like to add some dots of adhesive. It's just a security measure. I know the plastic is already melted, but it is a little bit weaker. So if you add some adhesive, it's just extra security. And then you're gonna go back through with your silicone. Unfortunately, they were sold out of the black silicone, so I had to use clear. The black silicone just makes it look a lot better, but it doesn't really matter as long as it is waterproofed. Once everything cures, then you can run water all over it using the water hose, or if you happen to have an air compressor, then you can actually put air in the back, literally just poke through one of these holes with your air gun, pressurize the light, and then spray soapy water on the back of this housing, just to make sure that there are no leaks. We typically do 2 layers of silicone. 2 layers, I found that you'll get almost all of the pinholes that are in there, and then you can do your final water test to make sure that you did get them all. Overall, these are not the worst, especially if you do have an ultrasonic cutter. It makes this job pretty easy and makes sealing them up way easier too. I really liked these. They came out looking really good.